When I was 35, I was diagnosed with a motor neuron disease called ALS. Mandy is a very blessed woman. I am God's child, and God gave me two very special parents, Maureen and Trevor, although they're both in heaven today. So I'm a daughter, and I'm a mother, a grandmother, to two beautiful granddaughters. I'm a friend, a sister. I was born in East London, although I only lived there for a year, and then we moved here. So I've lived here most of my life. My career was in the music industry as a singer and piano player. I coaching, I did some recording and directing, and I started playing the piano when I was 5 and sang and did drama productions in junior school. But in high school, I got a little more confident. I was a very shy young girl and teenager, and playing the piano and singing together for me was a way for me to express myself and my emotions. So that gave me a little bit more confidence, and that started really my 2 decades almost of being in the music industry. When I was 35, I was diagnosed with a motor neuron disease called ALS. And I would hazard a guess that symptoms started 3 years or so before that. And that is a neuromuscular illness that slowly but surely sucks the life out of your body and leaves you dependent on everyone for everything. So that has been a huge learning curve and accepting many new challenges. I cannot understand how people go through any challenge without faith. And I feel that I live every day by the grace of God. And my faith is unwavering. I pray a lot in the day. I start my day with prayer and end my day with prayer. And I believe that bad things happen to all people at all times. It's not God's fault, this. God didn't give me this, or use it to teach me some lesson. I don't believe that. I believe that we serve a God of love, and that other God would be one of cruelty. And I don't believe that. So I've never blamed God, or there are some days when I have very bad days when I might go to bed and ask Him not to wake me up in the morning. And I'm very angry when He does, when I'm having a bad time. But I've never wavered in my faith.
I met Mandy when we were in junior school together, and then I ended up going to a different high school for a while from her, so we didn't have lots to do with each other. We connected a little bit in high school. I remember Mandy was a singer still at school, and she asked me to help play the piano for one thing, so I have those kind of early childhood almost memories of her. And then our family left Port Elizabeth, and I've been around the country, and then I moved back to Port Elizabeth about 10 years ago, and so I reconnected with her then, and I've journeyed with her in different ways over the last 10 years. I think I would want to say that this church has been, the church to which I belong, has been a key resource, I think, to Mandy. So I would never want to say it's just me that has been a resource to her. I would like to think that through her worship here, which I'll speak about a little later, but through her worship here and through her belonging to our community, she's been cared for in a variety of ways. And I think that the community of faith is really what is the spiritual resource for someone.
My favorite passage is from Psalms. I love Psalms and Proverbs, but Psalm 40 is particularly precious to me. Verses 1 to 3 speaks about God lifting me out of a pit and putting my feet securely on the ground and singing a new song. So while I might not literally be able to stand anymore, He helps me to cope every day and to lift me out of those dark times when they come.
I think that Mandy has a particular disposition about her life that is quite extraordinary, that she's able to discern blessing even in the midst of her condition. And I think we are. I think every church community would want to feel this, that I think we are a caring community. We are a community that seeks to do that. But Mandy has a long history with this church. And I would, if I could use this language, she's in a sense has earned the right to be cared for. She belongs to this community. And so she deservedly receives the care that she does. And I think she's blessed through it, and we've been blessed through our association with her.
Mandy came into my life last year, February. She came into the home needing assistance with her way of living. She's been an absolutely amazing lady, always very positive, even though she has her bad days and her good days. At times it's been hard, but we've overcome every little obstacle that we've had, with sitting and thinking about what to do and how to do it. And with the help of my staff, it would not be possible, to help her in all her ways that she needs. She's inspired me by just being the amazing lady she is, never giving up on life, always being very, very positive about everything. She's always had the interest of all the other residents here at the home, always looking for things to do for them to make it a happier place.
My walk with God, I try and walk God's walk every day. I try very hard. I'm not always successful, but I try. And my family inspire me, every member of my family, my close circle of friends. I have members of the hospice who have looked after me from the very beginning. And the carers here, the staff here, the kitchen staff, the laundry, the cleaners, the caretaker, the gardener, everyone has has had a wonderful effect on me. And I draw a lot of inspiration from all of them.
I'd like to read today from Mark's Gospel, from chapter 12, a well-known passage, beginning in verse 28. One of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noticing that Jesus had given them a good answer, he asked him, "Of all the commandments, which is the most important?" "The most important one," answered Jesus, "is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. I want to reflect today on some of the spiritual truths I've seen present in Mandy's life over the past 10 years as her pastor. I think that these are practices and attitudes that have played a role in helping Mandy to be the remarkable woman that she is. Firstly, I've noticed Mandy's sustained love for God. Although in recent years it's been impossible for Mandy to actually attend worship, for many of the years that I've been here at this church, she has been a faithful worshipper. She's been assisted by some very kind and generous people who quite literally have picked her up and brought her to worship. It reminds me so much of that wonderful Bible story in which a group of friends lower a man through a roof to the feet of Jesus. But we shouldn't underestimate the importance of Mandy's willingness and determination to be at worship. I've known some able-bodied people and some less able-bodied people who have not made nearly the kind of effort that Mandy has made to be at worship. And when Jesus is asked from our reading today what the greatest command is, he begins by saying, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. Worship is what helps us keep our priorities right. It reminds us of who's in charge. It reminds us in whose hands we rest. And I believe that Mandy's great love for God has kept her through these years. There's a theologian and author, Frederick Buechner, who writes these words. He said, to be commanded to love God at all, let alone in the wilderness, is like being commanded to be well when we are sick, to sing for joy when we are dying of thirst, to run when our legs are broken. But this is the first and great commandment nonetheless. Even in the wilderness, especially in the wilderness, you shall love him. I think Mandy has exhibited a great love for God. Secondly, Jesus says we should love our neighbor as ourselves. For Jesus, loving God and loving neighbor are like one command. You can't do the one without the other. I imagine that if I were in Mandy's circumstances, I might quite easily slip into the claustrophobic world of self-pity and self-focus. And I would mourn all that I'd lost because of a terrible disease. Yet Mandy has on a few occasions told me of a deliberate strategy in which she engages. It's the strategy to decide that when life feels heavy and burdensome, that she will choose to focus on others. And so we have seen often, and many will bear testimony to this, that in Mandy's life, there are many who have been blessed by her because she has made others the focus of who she is. And then the third observation I'd want to make is Mandy not only loves God and loves her neighbor, but Mandy also has a deep, deep confidence in the goodness of God. She said again to me the other day that her disease, her struggle, is not of God. She doesn't see God as responsible for these things. Mandy continues, despite her obvious affliction, to give God, as it were, the benefit of the doubt. She has worked out in her head and in her heart that even in this, God is good to her all the time. And I think some people would dismiss this kind of thinking as nonsense, because there is something absurd about it. The Apostle Paul says God chose the foolish things of this world to shame the wise. There is something quite extraordinary about those who are able to hold on to the goodness of God when almost everything else around them suggests that perhaps they have been forgotten. But confidence in God's goodness keeps us loving God. And I think Mandy's confidence in God's goodness has kept her loving God and loving others. I have to conclude with this, however. I think Mandy would be embarrassed if she was here today and heard me say these things about her. Again, my experience of her is that she is well aware that she is a human being with human frailties. She would never pretend to be saintly. But it's this honest earthiness about her which makes all the things which we've already said about her all the more remarkable and all the more believable. I thank God for Mandy and all that she has taught us and continues to teach us by the way she lives.
The thing that I miss the most is to be able to hug my children, or my grandchildren, or hold them. Reach up my arms and hold a family member. My sister, my children, my grandchildren. Many people have asked me if I miss singing and if I miss playing the piano, being on stage. Yes, I miss it, but I've let it go a long time ago. What gets me all the time, even today, is not being able to do a simple thing like that. Being able to hold my children.
To shelter all my love for you, in my loving arms again. I've known you such long, long time, but you think that we've just